Welcome everyone to Epic Encounters. I hope you enjoy this week's message. I'm confident that the message from this series will meet you exactly where you are. Stay tuned for an epic journey.
Y'all share it and don't play. The book of Nehemiah, the 4th chapter. And if you can, meet me around verse number 18. We'll start right there at the beginning of verse 18 and we'll conclude at the end of the 20th verse in that same chapter. I'm reading from the New Living Translation Bible. I'll be in the Voice Amplified version. I might dabble with the Message version, and more than likely we'll end up in the Southeast version. Amen. All the builders, starting at the 18th verse, all the builders had a sword belted to their side. The trumpeter stayed with me to sound the alarm. Verse number 19, then I explained to the nobles and officials and all the people, the work is very spread out. Somebody say spread out. Spread out. And we are widely separated from each other along the wall. When you hear the blast of the trumpet, rush to wherever it is the trumpet is sounding. Then our God will fight for us. Our verse today, our key verse today will be the 20th verse of the 4th chapter of Nehemiah. When you hear the blast of the trumpet, rush to wherever it is that the trumpet is sounding. Then our God will fight for us there. Listen for the trumpet. When you hear the blast from the trumpet, run to where you hear the trumpet. Today, I want to talk to you from this thought today. Today, I want to talk to you from this mindset. I want to talk about roll call. And I like this because Braiki was like, you misspelled it. It's roll, R-O-L-L call. No, today we want to talk about roll call. That everybody needs to know your role in the, I feel a rock anointing today. Know your role, you jabroni. Everyone needs to know their role in the kingdom. Today, we're going to have a roll call. A roll call. Today, I want to talk to you about this generation and their mindset concerning the church. The importance of the church to this generation is non-existent. They don't have one. The importance of the church to this generation, because most generations or most people in this generation don't understand all the church has accomplished. Amen. They don't know that through history, all the things that the church is responsible for. The church is responsible for creating the first hospital. The church has been responsible for creating the first orphanages. The church is responsible for creating the first food banks and public assistance programs. It's been the church that's been responsible for establishing governments throughout history. The church has been responsible for modern day legal systems in which we still use. The church has been responsible for some pretty powerful things. And these things happen when the church comes together. Power happens when the church comes together. Communities change when the church comes together. People are set free and peace is made when the church comes together. Somebody say, thank God for the church. Church has the power to shape cultures. The church has the power to build nations. The church has the power to end wars. That's what the church is responsible for. So, you're like me, you're asking this question. The church is responsible for all this stuff, Gladys. Then why does the statistics say that less than 20% of Americans attend church? If the church is that powerful, the church has that much responsibility. If the church has that much legacy, then Janet, how come less than 20% of America goes on Sunday? Sit here and I'm stuck to answer this question by myself. I'm stuck to deal with an explanation to my audience today of why the church is not as popular as it should be, why the church is not as received as it should be, why the church is not as popular amongst this generation as we all think it is. So what's the answer then, Cephus? Well, simply put, it's because the church of God, for some, has become a long-distance relationship. I'll chat with you every now and then, and we'll date from across country. We'll date from far. We'll from afar. We'll date with some space and time and separation between. Anybody in here besides me ever been in a long-distance relationship before? You know, they stay in another city. Josh, they live in another country. They stay. Josh, like, oh yeah, I know that. They stay in another state. They stay in a long distance relationship has its limitations. I feel lonely right now, but the best thing we can do right now is FaceTime one another. You gonna preach with me today? I wanna get some time in right now, but the best thing I can do is send you a text message. The best thing I can do is we used to do that back in the day, smell your letter that you laced with perfume. The best thing that I can do is look at these crumbled up and spoiled roses that I saved from last Valentine's Day. That's the best I can do in a long distance relationship. Well, God says that's the problem with the church nowadays. Many people think that they can date me with a long distance relationship mentality. I'm committed to you just when we're FaceTiming. I'm committed to you just when the text revolves around me. I'm committed to you only when you call me, and I'm committed to you only for those few occasions that we actually have face-to-face interaction. So real quickly, there's some scriptures today that take, if you're taking notes, I want you to write these down. Hebrews 10, 24 through 25. We know this. It's a popular one, Dave. And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together as if the habit of some. Ephesians 3 and 10, so that through the church, the manifold wisdom of God might be made known. Hold on. How is God's wisdom going to be made known? Through my relationship with God? Oh, no, it says through the church that the manifold wisdom of God will be made known. You're going to see God's wisdom through his church. In 1 Corinthians, the 11th chapter, verse number 18, I like this. For in this place, when you come together as a church, can I help you for a minute? It is in every effort of God when he established his church at the beginning of the time that we would all meet together and congregate regularly. So it brings me to Nehemiah, the 4th chapter, and we look here at what we have going on, at our dilemma for the day. So we know from 2 weeks ago that Nehemiah, the 4th chapter here, what's going on is that they are building the wall around the temple. And some of us don't understand where you are, and I'm not sure what you're building, but some of us are trying to build legacies. Some of us are trying to build consistency. Some of us are trying to build careers. Some of us are trying to build family, but I think that all of us are on one accord when we say we're trying to build something, but in the process of building stuff, I got people that are trying to stop my workflow. Here, Nehemiah is trying to build the walls. Nehemiah, the book of Nehemiah is about Nehemiah building the temple walls in Jerusalem. The book of Ezra is about rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem. Did you catch that? Nehemiah is about building the walls around the temple. The book of Ezra is about rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem. So Nehemiah is sitting here and he's faced with a threat. He's faced with a threat. He notices this, that because I got people trying to stop the work, because we have we got terrorist threats, and we got terrorist attacks, and we hear people threatening to rush up on the work that we're doing. He says what that has done, it has cut our workforce in half. I can't be as efficient as I want to be because I got to be paranoid that somebody could run up on me at any time. can't be effective as I want to be because I've always got to look over my back in case the enemy is coming to tear down the stuff that I've built up in my life over a period of time. Anybody feel like that? Anybody feel paranoid? I've just heard and seen this movie play out before in my life, that every time I get going, every time I get a good relationship, every time I get a good flow, somebody comes and tears down what I've been striving for. Somebody tears down what I've been building up. Something in my life, in my past, pops back up to take advantage of what's the new thing that God has going on right now. Feel that, man. I'm working hard every day, but I got the threat facing my family every day. I'm working hard at building something up, but I got threats that face my income every day. I'm working hard to try to keep this thing together, to try to keep my mind right, to try to keep everybody on the same page. But what ends up happening is now I got a threat in my health now. So he's sitting here and he's been facing threat. And can I say this? It reminds me of how most of us do life. What are you talking about, Cephus? Most of us do life living scared. What are you talking about? You are living. You are experiencing life, but you're living, we are living and doing life scared. I'm working, but I'm working scared that somebody's going to take all my money. I'm working, but I'm working scared that they might come and lay me off for another 6 months. I'm working, but I'm working scared. I'm in relationships, but I'm in relationships scared because this might be another relationship that doesn't work out. I might be facing another divorce this time. I might be facing somebody else that wants to leave with half of my retirement again. Living life, doing life, but we're doing it scared. Somebody say scared. Scared. So focused on what I'm trying not to lose that I can't put enough effort in what I need to gain. Scared. So Nehemiah notices the mindset that has made us weak and vulnerable. Said, I see what's happening with my community. This is Nehemiah talking, y'all. This is Nehemiah's commentary. He says, I see what's happening in my community. Because up to this point, they have to work and fight at the same time. I love this about Nehemiah. Nehemiah understands, look, everybody has to work in this community. Ain't no free lunches in this community. Every able-bodied man and woman, if you got all limbs, you got all energy, you got all resources, everybody works up in this community. You better say amen, Nehemiah. Says we're working, but we literally have to work doubly strapped. We have to work literally with a weapon by one side, and we have to work with a tool on the other side. And he says in the process, if I've got a weapon on one side, that means I'm constantly thinking about fighting at any time. But if I got a tool on the other side, I'm thinking about the work that's not getting done fast enough because I got to focus on when I might have to fight every now and then. He says, I understand. Because of this threat, it has made us vulnerable and weak. We are not as effective as we should be because we're constantly looking over our shoulders scared. Is there anybody in here besides me in 2019? I want to do life, but I'm tired of doing life scared. I'm tired of doing life thinking about what somebody's going to steal from me. I'm tired of thinking about life, about what else is going to go wrong in my body this year. What else is going to mess up in my health? What else are my kids going to put me through? What else is this relationship or this marriage going to take me? I want to do life, but I can't afford to do it scared another year. Anyways, I like this because so Nehemiah says, check, everybody got a strap, right? Everybody's strapped and working, Everybody's got a tool and working. He says, this is what I want you to do because there's a threat of the enemy. This is what I like about Nehemiah. Nehemiah is the book for common sense. Can I just say that? It's a history book for common sense people that live a very common life. Can I just say thank you, Nehemiah? He says, I understand that a lot of y'all are working and fighting at the same time. So he says, this is what we're going to do. Because there's a threat and you have to work and fight at the same time, that's not good enough. What he then institutes is the buddy system. I like this. Nehemiah institutes the buddy system. What are you talking about, Cephus? He says, as you guys go to work and when your shift is over with and you go home, make sure you take a buddy with you. Nobody roams this community by yourself. Make sure you got a buddy with you. What are you talking about, Cephus? He says, make sure everybody has a close friend, somebody that you can attach yourselves with whenever an attack comes. Can I help somebody? He says essentially this: the reason why we have to have a buddy system is because in this community, nobody fights alone. I'm preaching already. In this community, nobody has to fight alone. I'm preaching to some people right now that seem to think that I don't need nobody else in my life. I can do all of this by myself. And I've always had to fight by myself. And I've always had to struggle by myself. I've always had to get education by myself. I've always had to get finances by myself. I've always had to find love by myself. I've always had to buy cars by myself. I've always had to purchase homes by myself. I've always had to raise kids by myself. I came to preach to you for a minute. Why are you going to pick on them, Cephus? Because in this community, in this kingdom, we don't strive and fight alone. Not here. Not in this kingdom. He said, no, take somebody with you. Janet, you need the buddy system. He says, take somebody with you so you're not fighting alone. Ain't nobody going to jump us. We're better together. Help us, Lord. That whole mindset about I can do it all by myself. Believers talking about I don't need no help from nobody. I got this. It's always been me alone and I got this. Can I just tell you something? That's just bad theology. That just conveys the wrong message of the kingdom when you think that you can obtain whatever you need to obtain by yourself. Since we're not all together, he says, make sure you take someone with you. And when you're not gathered, he says, when you're not gathered together, what we're going to do, I like Nehemiah for this, is we're going to do periodic check-ins. Oh, God. I want us to do periodic check-ins. Nehemiah, I love him for this. He says, we're going to establish security protocols in the kingdom. I said, that makes sense. Even now, for some of us, we don't understand it. As long as you're going to be in the kingdom, you got to call in every now and then. What are you talking about, Cephus? If you're going to be in the kingdom, you got to check back in every now and then. Why? Ain't nobody running my house. Ain't nobody telling me what to do. I'm grown. Yeah, but for security purposes, we need you to check in every now and then just to make sure you haven't been robbed, that you haven't been destroyed, and that you haven't departed from here. Can I preach now? There's something that even the law enforcement does. It's a thing called welfare checks, where if you got an old person or someone even a young person too, if you have a young person that you haven't heard from or somebody in your family, you don't know whether they're alive or not, did you know you can call 911 and say, hey, I'm the mother of so-and-so, so-and-so. I'm the brother of so-and-so, so-and-so. I am the sister of Detlef Williams. Can you go by there and just make sure he is okay? Welfare check. I thank God because in the kingdom we do welfare checks. Pastor, you call me when I'm not here and I'm missing church. I'm just doing a welfare check. I just want to make sure you're okay. I just want to make sure that you're still alive and breathing. I just want to make sure you haven't lost hope. Security checks, security protocols in the kingdom. I love Nehemiah for this. Did I tell you I love this part? You say you harboring on this fact a little bit too much, Cephus. We're starting to lose faith in you. We think you're a little bit too carnal. But I love this about Nehemiah. Nehemiah makes sure everybody's strapped, y'all. Can I harbor? Can I focus right here for me? I love this about Nehemiah. I almost brought my pistol up here today, but I love this about Nehemiah. I want to do an object lesson, but I love this about but I ain't got a couple of warrants cleared up yet. But I love this about Nehemiah. I'm playing, Dave. I'm serious, but I'm playing. I love this about Nehemiah. Nehemiah makes sure everybody is strapped with a tool and a weapon. He says, whether you're one of the princes, In other words, one of the people that live in high-to-do communities, whether you're one of the laborers, whether you're one of the supervisors, even if you're a politician, everybody needs a gat and a hammer. Y'all gonna help me today, man. He says everybody is strapped in this community. Can I just say this? If you're going to be in this community, you got to understand you do have the right to bear arms. If you're going to be in this community, there's no reason that anybody in here should be supplied with a slingshot and we all got straps in this community. We need you to dress and weaponize yourself accordingly in this community. I love this about Nehemiah. So Nehemiah says this. He says this, he says, the work is stretched out in every direction. We got a lot of people strapped. We've instituted the buddy system, and we've instituted that they even do random welfare checks, security protocols, where you have to call in and let us know. I'm praying as pastor that this isn't the year that we don't hear from you for about a month. Come on, y'all gonna pray. Y'all gonna say, thank you, Jesus. Y'all gonna help me out, or should I just stop the message right? I pray that this is the year that you understand kingdom security protocol. Y'all, you got to call in, y'all. You got to check in. We need to know you still alive. We need to know that you're still in the race. We need to know you still breathing. We need to know you're not in jail. We do need to know you're not in jail. We'll deal with that when you get out. Amen. This is the year. He has all these things in place. Security protocols, buddy system. Folks are calling in, strapped in, weaponized, and with tools. And he says, but that's not enough. We're still vulnerable because of this situation right here. Because I need to know why you're wasting our time talking about this today, Cephus. He says, I see that we're still spread out and we're separated too much. The biggest vulnerability we have is not because we don't have enough weapons. It's not because we're not communicating. It's not because we don't have buddies in place so that we don't get jumped. Our biggest vulnerability, he says, watch this, is the fact that everybody's working, everybody's doing life, but we're all spread out everywhere. And that's when it hits us. He says we're stretched out. We're stretched too thin. Too busy doing life. And we're stretched out and separated from the rest of the body. Too busy raising kids, which causes me to be stretched out too much and separated from the rest of the body. Too busy going through depression, which causes me to be really stretched out and separated from the body. Too busy being mad about people and thinking about what I don't have, which causes me to be separated from the rest of the body. He says because of that, what I've noticed is that we're too vulnerable. And if we get hit right now, we ain't gonna make it. Somebody say, we ain't gonna make it. If we get hit right now, we ain't gonna make it. Why, Nehemiah? You got weapons, you got teams, you got security protocols, yeah, but we're stretched out. Does anybody feel like that? Like the way my life is set up, sometimes I'm stretched out. Sometimes I'm separated too far from everybody else. I can't keep up with the body like I need to. I can't be where I need to. And when things go down, I can't be there to get the replenishment that I need. Why? Because I'm stretched out and I'm just separated and I'm thinly placed right now. Brings us to our key verse, and I'm wrapping it up. Nehemiah, the 4th chapter, verse number 20. Therefore, Nehemiah says this. This is the fix all. This is the glue. This is the solution to help us with our problem. Therefore, if you hear the sound of the trumpet, drop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the image in the stuff. I'm sorry. Drop what you're doing and join us where the alarm sounds. Be assured that our true God will fight for us. You catch that, Danielle? He said, this is what I'm going to do. I love this. Nehemiah says this, Josh, I'm going to keep a worshiper by me at all times. I'm going to keep a man that plays the trumpet And wherever I go, the worship goes. Y'all gonna hear me in a minute. Wherever I go, the musician goes. If I go to the restroom, I need you to hand me toilet paper from the outside, but the trumpeter is coming with me too. If I go to bed at night, I don't want you looking at me while I'm falling asleep, but I need you to be there with the trumpet and ready to sound it at any time. This is what he says. He said, I keep worship on me at all times. I keep the trumpet on me at all times. But the only request that I have is when you hear that trumpet sounds, when you hear the worship go forth, everybody come back to the place of worship. Everybody stop what you're doing. Put your tools down, put your weapons down, put your dinner down, put your diapers that you're changing down. Whenever you hear the trumpet sound, get to the place of worship. Everybody, when you get there, we're going to have what I call a roll call. Everybody is going to know what our proper focus. You mean I'm willing to stop working at any time for worship? Yes, that's the proper priority. You mean we're supposed to stop living our life at any time in order to get to where the worship is? Yes, that's the proper priority. You mean I got to get up out of my sick bed just to get to the temple when I hear the trumpet sound? Yes, that's the proper priority on how to prioritize your life. What's most important is getting to the place of worship. Say, get here. Get to the place of worship. He said, look, y'all might be electricians. You might be construction workers, bricklayers. You might be painters. But when you hear that trumpet sound, set your tool down and get to the place of worship. Why? Because your role as painter doesn't matter anymore. Your role as bricklayer doesn't matter anymore. Your role, oh God. When we get to the place of worship, Janet, your role as mother doesn't matter anymore. When we get to the place of worship, Willie, your role as a husband doesn't matter anymore. Well, what matters? What matters is that we get to the place of worship and get in our rightful roles and get ready to worship God in spirit and in truth. I don't care what you're doing at home, says Nehemiah. I don't care what you're doing at work. Just make sure you get to the place of worship. So Nehemiah, what point are you trying to make here? What point are you trying to drive home here today, Nehemiah? And I asked this question in the text, Dave. I said, well, why you got to blow trumpets at them and stuff like they dogs at the racetrack? You know what I'm saying? That was my question in the text. And if you know something, we talked about this at the last point, at the last message in the book of Nehemiah. The Israelites in this chapter had an issue with listening to gossip from the enemy on the outside. He said, I would give you another voice, but see, that's your problem now. You confused as to who's talking and who's not talking. I give you words of encouragement, but you ain't listening. I'm giving you a random thought of how we're going to process this information. You're not listening. So this is what we're going to do. When you hear worship, get to the place of worship. That's how we're going to do. Why? Because when I get to the place of worship, I ain't got to say nothing. When we get to the place of worship, the only thing that we got to do is lift up hands and begin to worship, and our enemies will be scattered. Don't you understand? When you get to the place of worship, it's like you being witness protection program. They can't touch you. They don't know your identity. They don't have any goods on you. Why? You can't touch me up in here. I'm bulletproof as long as I'm in the place of worship. I'm almost done. The trumpet is known as the shofar. It's a ram's horn. It's a ram's horn. As y'all can see on our post right here, it's a ram's horn. A ram is an uncastrated male sheep. I like that. I'm going to say that one for a men's conference. A ram is an uncastrated male sheep. You stay with me after service. I'll give you the tids on that one, okay? The name of the ram, watch this. The name of a ram is short for battering ram. You ever see that? You're battering. Okay, y'all gonna act like. You ever see the DA kick in a trap house, the door in a trap house, or to kick on the door in a crack house? They use a battering ram. That's where they got the name from, y'all. Come on, quit acting like y'all ain't got cable. Unless you don't, amen. So it says a battering ram. That's where they get the name ram from. It's short for battering ram. Watch this. The horns are symbolic of an animal that's never scared to fight. If you know anything about a ram is going to meet you with horns first. He ain't never scared. He ain't never scared to fight. A ram ain't never scared to fight. And you got to know this about the shofar, or the horn was blown inside of the temple. It was not only an instrument. Watch this. The horn was not only an instrument of music, but it's also an instrument of war. Can I tell you something? Our worship is not only based around music in theory, but it's also an instrument of war. Right. Some things you can only fight against when you're in worship. Some things you can only declare and set up a standard against in worship. Some strongholds only come down in worship. That's why your worship is so important. Your worship for spiritual warfare is the best weapon you got. I love worship. Worship is your weapons of mass destruction. Worship is your nuke. Worship is your atomic bomb. Worship is what you use in warfare in order to bring the enemy to his knees. It's not only about music, it's about war. What's interesting about the horn? The horn is set up, Adam, in such a way that you take the horn and you breathe air into it and worship comes out. That's the theory behind. I know some of y'all thinking about your little flutophone you had in elementary school and your little clarinet you tried. I'm thinking about my little clarinet. Mama, you remember my clarinet? Okay, anyway, I'm thinking about my clarinet. The worship, you blow air through it. You have to breathe. Oh God, I'm preaching. You have to breathe on the horn in order for it to work. And God showed me that's how worship works. When you get to the place of worship and we're all together in one accord, the only way for worship to be effective, says the Lord, is that I got to breathe on it. Y'all got to hear me. The only way your worship is effective is if God puts his ruach on it, his breath, his H2O, his O2, sorry, right here, his carbon dioxide. That's the only way for worship to work, is God has got to breathe on it. So some will say, well, I don't need to come to church. I'm going to mess with you right now. Some will say that I can get it at home. I'm sorry, but I just don't think God is breathing on you up in National City like you think he is. I don't think that God is breathing on you up in El Cajon like you say he is. I don't think God is breathing on you there at the courthouse like you say he is. You need to be in the place of worship so God can... That's good. So that he can breathe on you. What makes the horn effective is that you got to breathe through it. What makes worship effective is God has to breathe on it. What are you talking about, Cephus? So you don't understand. The reason why we got to get to the place of worship for no other reason is, as hectic as our week has been, I need to come here and to re-energize. I meet people all the time, Stephanie, and they say, well, you know, I watched it online. No, that's just trail mix. Come on now. You need to come to church and get fed. Oh God, can we preach? What you get on the face, I'm not knocking y'all for watching, by the way. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you. And I'll see you next week, especially if you're bi-coastal. We want you to keep tuning in. But for some of y'all sitting in the city right now, you sitting right now at your couch, this ain't nothing but top ramen. That's all this is. This ain't nothing but some corn nuts right now. That's all it is. No, you need to get here so you can have God breathe on you. You need to get to the place of worship so that you can get fed. That's the reason why Nehemiah did a roll call. He said, I got to physically make sure that my community is getting everything that it needs. as a leader, it's his job to make sure that the people are healthy enough to work, that the people can continue building the wall, that the people can continue with the mission that God gave us. Say, we come here this week to get re-energized. And if it wasn't true today, because I want to be so transparent with you right now. I want to say that, Dave, even as a pastor, I come in here ready to kick off my shoes and worship. It don't happen like that. Even sometimes I'm like, man, if you know, I get flashbacks of what Bright Kid called me on the way to church. Y'all gonna help me, please. Please help me. I get flashbacks of who didn't listen to me the night before when I told them to clean their room up. I got things on my mind. Stephanie, I still got replays about a written warning that I got at work that's playing through my mind. I'm not ready like that, y'all. My worship ain't just instantaneous like that, y'all. I can't just go there like that. But if it's not true, once the worship starts, it starts putting context to my life. And now I can see clearly now that I got a word from Pastor Ray, now that I got a word from Pastor Dave, now I can see things a little bit clear. My hope meter has just went up. My strength has just gotten up. My manhood has been declared. I got my mind right now, y'all. And I'm not going to go out here and trip as much as I would if I never came in here. Stand to your feet. You need a word. You need a word.
Hello. We want to thank you for watching this segment. We would like to hear more from you. Please follow us and connect with us via social media outlets. We want to offer you an opportunity to partner with us. We can do more together. Below is the information on how you can be part of bringing this message from our community to yours. And before you leave, take our motto with you: more compassion, fewer complaints.